Hey everybody, welcome back to the Build Show Network. Steve Basic Architect here, and today we're in the basement. Yeah, we're down at the lowest level, but have no fear. We're going to talk about some good stuff even though we're down here. Today we're going to talk about insulation. So here is Halo's Terra insulation that we're using on here. It's a foil-faced EPS, a nice little section of it here, you can see. EPS for expanded polystyrene. It's a 2-inch piece. We're probably in the R12, 13 range or R10-ish range for R value here. But more so than R value, my first concern is always continuity. R value in quantity comes a little later. I want to make sure that we're continuous about what we're doing. So in this house here, we have 4 inches under the slab because it's easy to apply there. We have 2 inches that run up the wall that basically connect to that sub-slab insulation there. And then we have a little stud cavity here that we can then fill with an unfaced bat. And we can add to that insulation. Now that we have that continuous insulation across the foundation wall there, right? That would yield, we put an unfaced bat on here, we're probably talking another R13-ish. On top of that, we got a good R23 wall. Now, I get a lot of comments on the videos, and when I'm talking, people say, oh, it's the basement, you don't need to insulate it, and who cares about how much insulation you put down there? But the reality is that the better I build the upstairs or the above grade wall and the better windows I put in the house, then the parts that are of lesser value start looking real bad, right? So one of the things you'll always hear me claim is that we need to make our decisions proportionally, right? It doesn't make sense to put R40 under the slab and put R10 on the wall. It doesn't make necessarily sense to do R40 down here and R20 upstairs. So we want to be proportional to what we're doing. Yeah, we're below grade. Yeah, the ground is somewhat stable temperature on the outside there. Somewhere in that 55-degree range, right? So holding this at 70-ish, we only have that delta of about 15 degrees across this wall. It's a lot different than, say, the above grade wall where the outside might be 30 degrees and the inside is 70, and we have that 40-degree delta. Obviously, the above grade wall has to get a little bit more attention, but that doesn't mean we don't give any attention to the basement. So let's go back to the studio. We'll break out some details and we'll continue this discussion. And we'll break out Big Red and make sure he has something to offer. I'll see you back there. Hey everybody. So hopefully you enjoyed that little tour in the basement. I mean, come on. I can't be the only one in America that gets excited talking about basement insulation. I mean, does it really get much better than Halo's Terra product on the wall and watching it go up? Come on. It's exciting stuff, putting these things together. I love it. So anyways, we're back at the studio. I got a couple drawings here and a detail here. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk a little bit about do's, don'ts, wants, and won'ts. And you see what I did there? Anyways, let's dive into those details. Of course, you know who's here to join us. So let's have at it. Dive into some details. All right, everybody. So, who's here to join us. Big Red. They threw up the building section because there is one point I want to make before we dive into the detail. You can see this is that Hilltop Aarow Project where we have basement from here to here and across here, and then over here where the rest of the house sits on piers. So, below grade. And they're all board formed concrete. And then we're insulated in the floor frame. And if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. There's some great videos on that, great videos out on this deck out there. But the one thing I wanted to point out, and I made mention of it in the video there, is insulating the foundation wall, and under the slab. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, what a waste of money. Oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, why would I ever want to insulate all of this? Well, there becomes a point where if you do a really good job insulating the walls, if I buy really good windows and insulate the walls really good and then insulate the attic really good here, that there comes a point where this starts to look really, really bad. Now, if I was doing a house and I had 2x4 walls and I had R13 insulation in there, yeah, the R10 here, maybe it is overkill, right? But the fact that these walls now are, you know, more like, what are we at, 29, you know, R32-ish, something in that ballpark, and the windows are right around R7-ish, and up here we're probably at R60. Well, we really want to proportionally, you know, get these numbers up. So I like to try and get those walls. I shoot for the R20-ish, and then under here I shoot for the R10. So 10, 20, you know, 40 on the walls, but we hit 32 here, 60, and then R5. So I traded off a little bit of the walls, the 32-ish, for the bump from R5 up to R7. So we're operating in that realm. But my point here is that being proportional in that, trying to elevate these, because we got that. And then the last thing, you know, I'm building this with Jake, so I'm guessing that we're probably 0.30 ACH 50, right, or better on here. So again, when you're operating under those metrics, this becomes a really important part of insulating. So let's dive into that detail there. Here you go. So give it some perspective. We have our foundation wall here coming down into the footing. All right. And although you couldn't see it in the video, we have our 4 inches of, here we did Halo Subterra. That's their stuff that's made to go below grade. Right, and these are all a graphite induced EPS. So they carry a, I don't know, probably about an R5-ish, R5 per inch. I think that's based on an 1 1/16 dimension. But so that 4 inches, yeah, we're probably more like R20-ish there. So we gave that a little bit bigger of a bump than the R10 that we were looking for. Then you can see here, you saw it at the job site where we do have the Halo Intera. And again, that's a graphite polystyrene. It's an expanded polystyrene. It also has that R5. You know, some of the claims there is that the R5 R value doesn't deteriorate with temperature like some rigid insulations do. And it's rated for exposure, although in this case we're not going to leave it exposed. We're actually going to cover it up. And it is 100% recyclable material. So there's a lot of really decent attributes about it. You can see here's our concrete slab. Notice that our concrete slab is encased by that insulation, that there is no thermal conductivity there. There is no thermal conductivity there because we're thermally broken by the Subterra and the Intera fully encapsulating that slab. So we brought the Intera up the wall, and that gives us that R10. Then we framed a 2x4 wall on the inside of that, and you can see here we opted to put some, you know, rock wool bats. So in the 2x4 wall, we're probably going to be at like an R15. So that and that, we're going to get the R25 hanging there, even though, you know, on some projects where maybe we don't have the luxury of adding that 2x4 wall, we have that R10 against the wall, and it is rated for exposure, meaning we don't have to cover it for reasons of fire, etc., and exposure, like some XPSs and different insulations. So that one is rated for that. So anyways, that's our basement insulation. I mean, it seems pretty simple, but a lot of people choose not to do it. And again, you know, I'd like to think that it's always a great choice, but you know, as I showed you in this drawing here, the better I make the envelope up here, the more important I have to make the envelope down here to proportionally stay with those numbers. So it's always a great idea. You know, one of my favorite words that I know you guys have seen me say a whole bunch is continuity, right? It's important. Get that insulation under the slab. It's continuous. It runs under the slab continuously. It runs up the slab continuously. And then it runs up the wall continuously. So we get that thermal continuity. And even though insulation is number 4 out of 4 on our control layers, right? Once I get everything else, I still have to worry about getting this whole place insulated. So again, continuity is key. And with that, we'll put Big Red down and we'll call it a day. There you have it. Went through everything we need to know about basement insulation. Who would have thought basement insulation is so damn cool? I mean, it's almost as good as it gets. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you're looking for more, Steve Basic Architect on Instagram. Check it out. Follow me. Putting up stuff all the time. So trying to share some information, and hopefully we all can get a little bit better tomorrow. So check that out. Check out my daughter, Alexandra Bazek. She works with me. She's always posting good stuff. Give her a follow. If you're looking for more, Build Show Network, we got some great guys on there. Matt, Wade, Jake, Brent, all publishing great stuff, up-to-date stuff we're doing today. We got some really exciting stuff coming down the pike here in the next year, so we'll little teaser there to get you. But and like the sign says, if you haven't checked out my videos 7 times at a minimum, then you're really not grasping the content. So 7 times minimum. Go check it out. Lastly, you can find me on the Unbuilded podcast, where I co-host with my 2 I don't know, you call them friends, colleagues. I'm trying to find the right name for those 2. But anyways, go check it out. Unbuilded Podcast, where we break down some building science and building concepts and talk about them. We got about 80 years of experience between the 3 of us. Most of it's with Peter, probably about 75 of it. And let's just see if you're paying attention. Anyways, go check it out. Unbuilded Podcast. But until next time, Steve Basic Architect from the Build Show Network. Later, guys. Long live our buildings.